Welcome, gamers, to Super Beard Bowl Season 2. Each month, we're doing an all-new 8-episode series complete with a beginning and an end, as voted on by you, our loyal viewers. Without paying a single penny, everyone who watches will be able to vote on one of 4 show ideas, and once you narrow it down from 4 to 2, the Beard Bowl Patreon tier will then choose between the top 2 for which show gets made into a full 8-episode series. This month, the winning series is Beard Bros Movie Reviews. Brett, Jirard, and Alex watch and review movies that you guys thought they might enjoy. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. So until then, just sit back, relax, and enjoy another incredible episode of Super Beard Bowl.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beard Bros Movie Reviews. Today's episode is on The Goonies.
Hell yes.
Goonies.
The Goonies, which is one of those movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of those movies that's like godlike for people, I think, right? Like this is like one of the classic childhood movies. For some reason, like every single person since 1985 grew up in 1985, and everybody loves this movie.
I never remembered the plot. Or actually, when this was on the list of movies to go from, I immediately wanted to look at this one because I know it's a classic. I know everyone's seen it, but for me personally, I don't remember much of it other than the key takeaways of there's a pirate ship, there's Chunk doing the truffle shuffle, and then there's also the "Hey you guys," like that's all I remember, and in the face of that guy, that's all I remember, and I never remembered the plot, how they got there, why it was scary, what the stakes were, and so I was very surprised, or rather I was very excited to watch this film when we got the chance to.
Yeah, and here's the thing, I love everybody involved in this movie. The poster even is by Drew Struzan, who does all the like Indiana Jones, all that stuff.
Yeah, he's the king.
Directed by Richard Donner, who did the Superman movies, the first 2 Supermans. Which
is hilarious because there's a Superman reference in the film.
He even plays the music from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Spielberg decided what this movie was going to be about. Chris Columbus, who directed
Amblin production.
Yeah, Christopher Columbus, who's did Miss Doubtfire, Harry Potter 1 and 2, like a huge guy. He was in this. The cast is one of those casts where everybody in it got famous. Thanos is in this movie. Martha Plimpton is weirdly in this movie.
A young Josh Brolin threw me for a surprise. I did not recognize him, nor did I know he was in the movie until Amanda told me.
Young Sean Astin is the main guy. Corey Feldman, who is like an infamous child actor. Ke-Huy Quan, who's Shorty in Indiana Jones. It was like an all-star cast of people, right? So, I don't know. Here's the thing about this movie, though. Watching it again, I haven't watched in like maybe 10 years or so. Actually sat down and watched the whole Goonies. And watching it still gives me the same feeling that it has always given me, right? Which is like this similar vibe to watching Indiana Jones or Back to the Future or Jurassic Park or any of those movies from the sort of like golden age of like family blockbusters, and when PG-13 movies were like still kind of like ooh, and I feel like there's a lot of movies in that category. I feel Goonies has the texture super hard. I feel like it has like these like kind of larger than life characters, these like classic lines. The music is like unmistakable, but like watching what this movie is, like the script almost barely, it's like they don't really set up. I mean, they do. There's some good stuff, but I was surprised how many scenes are just like 10 people screaming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that was the takeaway that I walked away with about the Goonies that I wasn't sure I was excited about in the end. Was it felt like there was a lot of guided dialogue, like, all right, kids, there's 6 of you in the scene. Say whatever you want, but when you get to the end of the scene, you have to hit beat 1 and beat 2. And I can't blame child actors, let alone those who were involved in the film since 1985. But
these are some of the best ones of the time too, which is, why it's rough.
It just felt like several scenes were a lot of kids not listening to what they actually had to say and were just saying their lines to get to the next beat. And you saw that, and the funny thing was that when you had the single scenes or the duo scenes, right? You have Sean Astin and his brother, or Sean Astin by himself, or even just like Corey Feldman and the Hispanic lady explaining like all the things in the house. That felt a lot more nuanced and paced. But when you had like Chunk in the room and everyone was there, it was like data, just a lot of screaming and yelling and not listening.
With the penis is like one of these scenes is like a huge scene of just clusterfuckiness. The scene when they go upstairs, like right after that, and they're in, and he's like, that scene is like a clusterfuck of shit happening. I can follow it because I've seen the movie a million times and I like fucking love the Goonies. But watching it as a movie again, I was just like, ooh.
Can I ask you, Alex, a question that I look, I'll be real with you.
Up?
When I watch these films, I am completing a game at the same time because I
get it.
Left brain, right brain stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty like in tune with what's going on in the film. But I asked Amanda afterwards, and she didn't quite know, and I was going to do some research, but I just forgot.
Okay.
Tell me why the parents are losing the home. Because
they just don't have money.
They don't have money. They're poor, or they're running out of money. They can't. They bounced on payments.
The dad can't make ends meet. He's like weird. I think he lost his job at the beginning. He says like he lost his job at like the museum or something, so that's why he has all this shit in his house. I don't know.
Okay.
And there's like the rich asshole people that show up at the beginning when it's raining, and they're like, "Hey, can you sign this?" They're trying to knock down the whole neighborhood as fast as they can because
the golf
they're
course.
trying to build a country club in the Goondocks, which is like a neighborhood of Astoria.
So that's why they're called the Goonies.
That's why they're like, we're Goonies, bro. It's because it has to do with where they're from. I don't know if that's like a real thing. I don't know anything about Astoria.
That answered a lot of questions for me that I was having a hard time piecing together in the beginning of the film. Because I feel like once they're on the adventure and they leave the home, everything in the film clicked with me. But it was the very beginning and the very end that I was just having a hard time, like, kind of deciphering why. Because in my mind, they didn't really explain. Like, I didn't catch that like he lost his job as quick as I wanted to. I didn't catch that they were bouncing payments.
They kind of just rushed through it in that first scene, and it's hard to track because there's a bunch of kids talking, and it's like there's like 3 jokes going on at once, and that's the only way to do it with kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like kids aren't good enough at acting that they can like act and be quiet, all of them together. You know, so that's just how it is.
And the investment with the kids, with the friends of Sean Astin and Josh Brolin, the investment of the kids is like their home supposed to be like the Goonie headquarters. Like, is that where they always hang out? And that's kind of their vibe.
They have the adventure house. You can tell because like when Chunk shows up, they have the like fun little thing, and they're all from the neighborhood. But the Goonies HQ is Mikey and Brandon's house.
Yeah,
the Walsh residence, right? And that's the vibe.
I think one of the strongest aspects of this film is recognizing how important it is for these characters to stay where they are. You have a lot of scenes where Sean Astin and Josh Brolin are talking to the 2 girls, and they're just like, you know, the girls want to leave, but the guys are like, or Sean Astin's like, if we leave, there is no school, there is no classes, there's you're not going to see us. There's no Goonie HQ where it's going to be miles away or a city away or a state away. And I think the film does a great job grounding the characters in reality, regardless of the shenanigans that they're going on, because the stakes for them
not realistic at all. But it's
no, not at all. I mean, like to find a pirate ship underneath a restaurant filled with gold and a bunch of booby traps, it's like insane, right?
Yeah.
But the importance of it being real and the importance of discovering it, it's not about the money and saving the home. It's about like the faith that this is their last adventure together, and that it's important for them to have this memory as they hopefully find something to stay around. Because after this day, you know, there's that great scene where where that asshole kid and his friends are at the water well and they're offering to pull them up, and Shawn's like, if you go up there, it's over. Yeah. It's over for me. And I think like it had no reason being as real as it was, and it was wonderful. I think those nuanced moments with Shawn Astin just going, this is all I have. It's so important that we find this. The movie just made the movie so much more enjoyable.
The movie has heart for days. Like that's what the movie sails through on every time. Is like the fact that like, okay, like for example, Shawn Astin and Josh Brolin are really good at being brothers. Like they really, like there's scenes where he's like sitting on his lap and it doesn't feel weird, and there's like he has these like really sort of like sad moments because you can tell they're really different kinds of people, but they really like each other at home. They really do a good job with that. And also like they really do a good job of making the kids as stupid and as like immature as kids are. They really like focus on making the kids say a lot of words wrong, and I love that the kids say like fuck and shit all the time. Like I think that's like really good stuff. Like they really make the kids act real, even though the acting, you know, it's kids acting sometimes. The part of the movie where the movie loses me every time, the part where I feel like the pacing really breaks down, is when they, after the scene where they first meet Sloth, it's like they get to the restaurant and he's like, what do you want? And he's like, oh, mama, you know, you can't. And they like talk in Italian. And then he's like, all right, get it, sit down. And then they just like go into the restaurant and sneak away. And that whole part where they're like going around it before it becomes like, oh, we're on this path to the treasure, when they're just sort of like chilling in the restaurant and like sneaking around in there, goes on for a really long time. And it doesn't seem right that these guys wouldn't just kill them. I don't know. They have like guns and they're shooting at them the whole time.
There's this weird element of like, you have these three killers and they've got Sloth down in the basement, and they're just like, we're not going to kill these kids yet. We'll wait to kill them. Right. And then like, it's almost as if when they capture Chunk, that's when they're like, oh yeah, we're villains. We should kill this kid.
Yeah, exactly. They like realize it's going to go bad for them. But yeah, basically like the thing about this movie that I love though is that like beyond all that, the texture of the movie and the feeling of it. And I mean, I guess I was saying this about Kung Pao too, but it's just, the Goonies is unmistakably the Goonies. There's something about the Goonies that has this, and I think it's this combination of like Richard Donner and like the 80s Spielberg vibes, because like what are the other movies that Richard Donner has even done besides Superman? He did The Omen and he did the Lethal Weapon movies, right? And like those are all very
different films across the board.
He's never really made another movie like Goonies, you know? And I think that a thing that is lost about the Goonies is that it is like a kid's movie. Like nowadays, everybody who likes it is like 40, because that's like this movie was already 3 years old when I was born, just to give you an idea, right? Like I don't pass as a young person. You know what I mean? Like I am an adult. I'm an adult man. I'm an older adult.
The movie is 29 years old.
Yeah. And you know, there's something crazy about that. You know, it's more than that. It's 35 years old.
Yeah.
And
I can't math, you guys.
But that's what I'm saying is like, for some reason, something about this movie, like it when you watch it, you feel like you've grown up with it. You know what I mean? Regardless of you know, pacing and whether or not they give enough time to everybody, which I think they kind of do. You know, everybody gets their chance to shine. Everybody gets like a good character moment. Chunk gets his time. Data gets his time. Like everybody, even the smallest characters get their time. And it's funny, and it kind of is like a little bit unbelievable, but like a kid's fantasy would be, because a kid's fantasy would not consider all the rules of reality that might exist. And the fact that the ship sails away at the end is sort of just like the movie being like, just let this be a fun adventure. Like, this is just magic. You know what I mean? Imagine if you're watching this and you're an adult, that you're one of these adults sitting here watching this fucking ship sail out of the thing and being like, oh shit.
Can I tell you the scariest part of the movie for me? The absolute scariest part?
Sure.
Josh Brolin on the tricycle.
Dude, when he drives off the fucking cliff,
dragging him.
Yeah.
That is so fucked up. It is so fucked up. The fact that like Josh Brolin stole their neighbor's tricycle, and he's like in shame already, going like 10 miles. Like,
also, shout outs to that girl. Shout outs to that girl who literally he comes up and takes the bike from her, and she's like just marching in place immediately. Like, I want my bike. Give me back my bike. I want my bike.
Yeah. That part was so scary just because the ramifications of that going south is probably the realest part of the movie.
I could just see him going off the thing, and then it cuts to that baby falling down the hill from Kung Pao into the fist for like 5 minutes. Or like in Hot Rod where he just like, yeah.
It was very scary to say the least.
Yeah. But at the same time, these kids are safe the whole time, right? Like, they're getting shot at. No, none of the kids die. Like, 2 of the kids would have fallen in the hole. Data would have died on the spikes. Let's be honest; those teeth weren't doing shit. But,
I would have loved. This is where everyone at home is gonna hate me.
Okay.
I would have loved to have seen a sequel to this movie in the vein of It, where it's like 10 years have passed. 15 years have passed. The Goonies get back together because Goonies never die, and their friendship's forever. And seeing how far they've come, and seeing them maybe go on another adventure that they didn't expect. Because I'd love to see how they as people turned out. Because I think that was the most truing thing, is that everyone within the element of this film had an arc, while albeit small or conclusive.
Yeah, they had really something motivating special. Them.
Yeah, they did, and even if those motivations were dumb and childish, it didn't matter because it was important to the character, right? Like the main female is like, I just want to kiss a boy. I just want to kiss Josh Brolin. I just want to kiss Josh Brolin, and that would be so sweet. And then she kisses the young boy. And it's like everything she imagined and more, and then like also weird because he's got braces. Like that was her whole arc, was like she just wanted to be with Josh Brolin the whole time, which is funny because she dumped her boyfriend.
Right. I remember they
through the film.
I remember they said that they were gonna do a sequel like 5 years ago. I remember Richard Donner was like, "I'm gonna get everybody together that I can to make this movie again," and Spielberg also like, "I'm gonna make this movie." But the last thing that I heard about this was that they're making a show about kids making a remake of the Goonies. Like, it's I don't know if it's like a comedy drama or if it's like a straight up drama. But
is it like Be Kind Rewind in that way?
I don't know. It's like about kids that want to remake the Goonies. And it's like got Richard Donner is like producing. So I don't know exactly what that is, but that's the last thing that I heard about. And that's like from this year. That's like right before COVID, like February. They were talking about this.
Okay.
You know, I don't know. I feel like there could be like an It 2 of this movie.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like they have like the original that it's like all of them are kids, and then like it would be awesome if like the Fratellis came back for revenge, or like or it turns out the jewels were cursed or some shit like that. And they have to come back to the Goondocks and like be the Goonies again, like just like It. Honestly, it's like a positive version of It. But I don't know. Like that's how I feel about this movie. Like, what is there to say about it? Right? It's about some kids that need money. It's like the mix of like the One Big Show type of movie, like a Muppets movie type movie, where they need the to save the theater, they need to put on one big show, and like an Indiana Jones sort of like adventure film for kids that's not too scary. You know what I mean? Like, there's dead bodies in this movie. There's like gunshots. There's cuss words. There's all kinds of things like that in this movie. But it never crosses that line of scariness. And I think like that's the power of this movie, is that they made this type of thinking and this type of watching Sloth look at an old ass movie of a guy going down a thing and thinking, okay, this was in the 80s, and him watching that movie from like the 30s, right? That's kind of like us watching the Goonies now, when the movie is like almost 35 years old, and you're watching the Goonies and being inspired by the same type of like adventure thing as Sloth is feeling when he's watching the pirate movie in the movie. So I don't know. I think there's something iconic about the Goonies that's never going to go away. It feels like a comic book. It feels like it feels like a video game. It feels like a million things at once. And even though I think that it's like a little bit sloppy in a way, and I think that it's a little bit like just a bunch of people talking constantly, like there is undeniably something about this movie that is just so unique. And also it's the only movie besides Star Wars that gets away with like some really weird people kissing people.
There's this they're just fine with the kids making out with other kids.
So the girl makes out with the little brother in the dark on accident halfway through the movie when they're going to the bathroom. And he's like, "This is the men's room." Remember that scene? So so they all are like, "I'm going to the men's room," but she doesn't know that. She thinks they're all in the room they said they were going to go into, and so she's like, "Hey, can you come out here, Brandon?" And he's like, "Go see what she wants." And he goes out there, Mikey does, and gets kissed. And she like loved it, and she was like, "I thought he didn't have braces." And then at the end of the movie, they're like,
they finally kiss.
They kiss, and she's like, "You don't have braces anymore." And they realized that she was kissing Mikey earlier, and then she goes over to Mikey, and she's like, "Hey, if you kiss like that, you're gonna be good." And it's like, you're like, "Hey, your little brother."
She's like, "You got a lot going on there, kid. You're gonna one day make out with all the ladies. Don't you trip, my dude."
Kissing your little brother.
Had a great time kissing your little brother. When Josh Brolin finds out that his little brother made out with her, he gets so hyped up, and she's like, "No. Don't worry about it."
I liked it.
It was okay. It was okay.
Those kisses, they'll go far.
Yeah. Both of you, both the Walsh brothers kisses will go far.
Yeah. Also, shout outs to Chunk's dad wearing the same fucking shirt as Chunk. And also,
can we talk about Chunk for a second?
Okay.
Chunk, I feel bad for Chunk.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this, Alex, but the actor who played Chunk could not avoid he's like Jake Lloyd or something. He was Chunk for the rest of his life. Yeah, he was Chunk for the rest of his life. So obviously he kind of left the acting game a little bit. Also looks way different. Shit a ton of weight. Looks way different now.
I would too if I was Chunk in the fucking Goonies. I wouldn't. I think
it just, I felt bad for him because to be a child star at that young age and to always be the guy that's like, "Hey, do the truffle shuffle," and to have your whole character kind of be about food and ice cream in an otherwise jovial, fun adventure. Like, I'm trying to think.
You're almost
the only reason why, contextually speaking, that food is an important trait for Chunk is that, one, he finds the dead body in the fridge via "I smell ice cream," and two, he gives a payday bar to Sloth.
Yeah.
Or Babe Ruth, rather.
Yeah.
So those key elements are the only factor into knowing why Chunk is obsessed with food. And I feel like everything else to his character...
He's just a fat kid in the group. Like, don't overthink it. This is the 80s.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that, like it didn't need to be that way, and it ended up being that way.
Yeah,
you look
Sloth is a full-on, like, just a type of character you would never put in a movie today, period.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's so many things like that in here that it's just like, of course this kid got wrecked by that. You know what I mean? Like, I feel bad for him, but, like, at the same time, like, he's basically, like, the same level as, like, Darth Vader or Han Solo or Marty McFly at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm sure that he's seen a lot of success from it as well, but I'm sure it's rough. Also, Data's dad is Judge Ping from Arrested Development, which is funny. And I don't know. I fucking love the Goonies, but I was surprised how all over the place the movie was watching it for the first time in a while.
Yeah. It was good. It was a good time. I had a great time watching this movie. I'd watch it again. You know, don't sleep on it. If this is a classic. What was that?
I want to go watch this movie like in the park and like clap along with like a crowd of people who know every line of the movie.
Sure.
That's the type of movie this is. Like I get hype watching it, and I like it.
Yeah, I think it's a fun time. I'm not big on the whole like Spielberg golden era films of like you have to watch Jaws, you have to watch E.T. But out of that like genre of film that I think you should watch, that's a Spielberg produced thing.
He's super famous.
Goonies is up there as one of the ones you should watch.
Yeah,
I'd
Goonies,
say
one of those movies that like golden age Spielberg like touched. Yeah.
yeah, it was an Amblin production, and it's a situation too where I have no nostalgia for this film. I'm not sitting here going like, I miss the Goonies. It was just because I don't remember it.
I miss the Goonies. I miss 85.
I miss 85. I was born in 88, but I miss 85. Man.
I was an NES kid, but I was born 2 years before the SNES came out.
I wish the NES was born when I was born so I could enjoy it because I miss the Goonies.
But here's the thing. Goonies is good. Goonies does deserve the status
there was a sequel on the NES. I don't know if it's any good, but
Goonies 2?
Yeah.
It's I always thought that there was a second Goonies because of that game.
It definitely made me think twice when I got to the end, for sure.
I remember asking to see if Goonies 2 was out yet at like all the time, the movie, like because I was like, "There's the game for Goonies 2. Where is the movie?
Where's the film?"
Yeah,
it means the game. It means the game. The first game sold really well. So
yeah, it's just so crazy that they did that. Anyway,
all right,
the Goonies.
Alex, final thoughts.
The Goonies is a movie that's worth watching, especially if you haven't seen it in a while. And I think it's a perfect time capsule of the like golden age of American childhood. I think that everybody's nostalgic for this movie, regardless of how old you are. And I think that if you haven't seen it, this one's like in the canon. It's worth knowing about the same way that it is like where your English teacher, when you're studying Old English, tells you just to like learn the Bible because so many other writers refer to the Bible. Like as a student of pop culture, if you haven't seen the Goonies, you're missing out on like something formative for like American pop culture. So I think you should watch it. I give it 5 impossible pirate ships out of 5. It's weird that the how in love the kid is with the pirate.
Yeah, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I think it was a good time. I'm not as courageous as these kids would be. I would, if you were like, "There's a pirate ship," I'd be like, "Bye."
I would have died in this cave if I was with these kids. I would have fell and died.
Yeah, I would say, "Great, have fun." I'm gonna go play Pac-Man at the. I'm
gonna go squeeze an entire milkshake on myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Goonies if you watch it too, and we'll see you soon for another Beard Bros review. Bye-bye.
You won't go waggity sex no more. Waggity sex.
Kill that man.
No. Why not?
You
I can just take an elevator.
No more. Waggity sex.
It used to be wackety sacks.
Waggity sex. Waggity sex. Waggity sex.